Continuing with our series on the concise presentation of the Fiqh. Today is lesson number 17, and inshallah we'll be covering our second lesson on the fasting. For those of you who have the book, it's book 65, and that should be available in PDF or if you have a hard copy. And today's date is the night of the 21st of Sha'baan. And it is the 24th of March, 23rd of March.
Let's get a couple. Just get next to you. There's no couple. Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. Man yuridillahu bi khayra yufaqihu fi din. Allah intends good to you, inshallah, gives you understanding of the religion. So let's do inshallah together. Before we start, please can we just close the gaps? There's no COVID now. I mean, the COVID is okay. So please can you just close the gaps, Ikhwan? And just, if you can just sit as close as possible, that would give us inshallah the etiquette of gaining the knowledge. The second part of the Siyam. This is the second part. We had the first part, and now we're going to the second part of the Siyam. And this is a very important part because we're going to talk about those things that would invalidate your fast. You'll be amazed the amount of information that you were missing from the previous fast. So go ahead. This is the maximum light here you can have, yeah?
Yeah.
Bottom start. We'll just get my glasses on. More light. My table lamp. Fadl.
The essential components of the fast. Number one, the intention. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ حُنَفَاءَ. And they were not commanded except to worship Allah, sincere to Him in religion, inclining to truth. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said, verily all actions are based on intention, and for every person is what he intended. This intention must be present every night before the time of Fajr. Hafsa stated that the Prophet ﷺ said, there is no fast for one who does not make the intention to fast before Fajr.
Fine. Let's pay attention, inshallah. Arkan al-Sawm, he translated it as the elements of fasting. You could translate it as well as pillars of the fasting. And some scholars make the niyyah as to be a condition. What is the difference between a condition and a pillar? Condition is not part of the act. As for the pillar, is part of the act. So let's just talk about, for example, the prayer. From the pillars is ruku', sujood, prostration, because it's part of the act. From the conditions, making wudu, because wudu is not part of the prayer. It's a different act. The prayer is from the takbirat al-ihram until salutation. So from the takbirat al-ihram to the salutation, all those are called pillars. Something which is a condition is from the outside the act. For example, as I said, the wudu. The wudu is outside the act of the prayer, whether it is a condition or a pillar. If that condition or that pillar is jeopardized, then the act is jeopardized. So this is now, the first one is intention. Some scholars make the intention is part of the act, so it's a pillar. Some of them, they make it not part of the act, which is a condition. But the consequences are the same. The intention is very important pillar, and that is you know what you're doing. This intention has 4 conditions. Condition number 1, it has to be with no hesitation. So I cannot say tomorrow, well, if I'm traveling, I'm not going to fast. I'm talking about the obligatory fast, or the fast of Ramadan. If the tickets or the flight is cancelled, then I'll fast. That fast will not be accepted. So the first condition for the intention, it has to be what? Without hesitation. Should we call it in Arabic al-jazm? Jazm means that you are firm. So that's the first condition for the intention. Second condition for the intention is that you are knowing which fast. It's not just enough to say, I'm just fasting. It has to be the fasting of something which is obligatory. Not only that, it has to be Ramadan. So general word of just, I'm going to be fasting. No, you are fasting the obligatory month of Allah, the month of Ramadan, which Allah made it obligatory. So general, Altimash, join the class, Sheikh. Don't sit at the back. The general, and by the way, the class is more important than the adhkar. The general intention is not enough. So it has to be with a firmity. Number two, it has to be, that is, you are doing it for Ramadan. Third condition, that is at-tabit, meaning that this intention has to be, because it's Ramadan, it's fard, compulsory, it has to be the night before. Night before is mean from Maghrib, sunset, until Fajr. So if you did not make it between these two times, let's say you made it before sunset, it's not going to be counted. If you made this intention after Fajr, it's not going to be accepted. It has to be within that time. So the third condition, it has to be within those times, between sunset and between Fajr. And the fourth condition, and that is a controversial, and the condition of that is the niyyah is to be repeated every night. The niyyah is to be repeated every night. So that means every night of Ramadan, I have to have an intention. And this is a difference among the scholars. Some of the scholars, they said one intention for the whole of Ramadan. Some scholars, they said for every night. And I will tell to everybody, for every night. And that is the majority of the scholars. For every night, you've got to make the intention. I don't tell you what is the intention, but just to tell you, these are the four conditions which are set for the intention. How many people do know these conditions? Very few people. Some people, they will say, tomorrow, if I'm traveling, I will not fast. If I'm not traveling, I will fast. That is not going to be counted as the day of Ramadan. So you have to have firmity. And I have to have specification for the fard. And I have to have as well the night before, between Maghrib. So if I do it before Maghrib or after Fajr, it's not going to be counted. The fourth thing, it has to be for every night. Some scholars said for the whole of the month, as long as you don't break. What is the break here? The breakage of the day. Like, for example, you traveled and you did not fast in one day of Ramadan, then they have to renew. So those scholars who said one intention for the whole of Ramadan, as long as the days following one another. But if you have a breakage, regardless of what is the reason, traveling, ill, menstruation, for the women, postnatal, okay, and you wanted to start again, you have to renew the intention. And that's a must. Even for the scholars, they said there's one intention. After saying all of this, we say the intention, Ikhwan, is easy. The intention is not really making it difficult, but you have to understand what it is. It's easy. So we're not here putting it as an obstacle for your fast. No, just to make sure that you understand it. Knowing tomorrow I am fasting, that's an intention. It's not standing before the mirror and you saying, I intend to fast tomorrow for the sake of Allah. Nothing like that. It's a bid'ah innovation. So after the Maghrib, for me, knowing the fact I'm going to fast tomorrow, that's an intention. Sahur, we call it sahri meal. The sahur, a pre-dawn meal. A sahur in itself it's a package. The sahur is a package. In it, that is the intention. Because it's not from the habit of a person to wake up 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning to eat food. It's not from the habit. So for you to wake up at that time for having food, that's an intention. So the intention can be by actions. The intention can be by that you are intending to do in your heart. That's the intention. So your action for sahur, that's enough for intention. You're knowing that tomorrow is Ramadan and I'm going to be intending to fast, that's an intention. So the knowledge of you, which is in your heart, that's an intention. Your action for the sahur, that's an intention itself. So the first one we said is a niyyah, intention. Khwani, the intention is very, very important because it will violate your fast if you're not intending it properly. Number two.
Number two, refraining from anything that breaks the fast from the dawn of dawn until sunset. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Can you speak louder, Sheikh Khwani? Wallah, they're complaining.
So now sexual relations with them and seek that which Allah has ordained for you. And eat and drink until the white light of dawn appears to you distinct from the black darkness of night, then complete your fast till the nightfall.
Right, and imsak, that is to hold and abstain from all the fasting nullifiers. We're going to understand what they are. From the Fajr until sunset. So this is, you have to abstain or withhold from the fasting nullifiers. What are the fasting nullifiers? Now, fadl.
6 matters break the fast. Number 1 and number 2, intentionally eating or drinking. If a person forgetfully eats or drinks, then he does not have to make up the fast, nor is there any expiation in this case. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever forgets while he is fasting and eats or drinks something should complete his fast, for it was Allah who fed him or gave him to drink.
Right, first one is eating and drinking. Those are, he said, deliberately. Okay, but we're going to understand there are conditions for eating and drinking. You have to know, first of all, the knowledge, and you have to have the remembrance, and also you have to have the deliberance, and also you have to have the choice. All these breakers, except for the one you have no choice, which is the haydul nafas, and that is the menses, all of them, they have to have condition for them to be nullifiers. If those conditions are not there, then it will not be a nullifier. So he said food and drink. Whether this food is healthful, food which is normal food, which is beneficial, or is not beneficial. Whether this drink is beneficial or is not beneficial. So if it's water, break your fast. If it is diesel, break your fast. If it is kebab, break your fast. If it's a piece of paper, I'm eating and swallowing it, you're going to break your fast. So eat food and drink, it doesn't matter whether it's beneficial or not beneficial. But I'm going to implement condition onto it later on, which is that you have to be remembering, you have to be deliberate, you have to know the knowledge, you have to, I'll add that inshallah at the end. So the food and the drink, regardless whether it's beneficial or not beneficial. Now, further.
Number 3, vomiting intentionally. If a person is overcome by nausea and vomit, then he does not have to make up the fast, nor is there any expiation in his case. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
You're reading for the people, wallah, for the speaker, wallahi, because they can't hear you. Just a bit louder.
One who is overcome and vomits does not make up the day. One who intentionally makes himself vomit must make up the day.
No. Right. Abu Hurairah narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Man dhara'ahu al-qay," he was being pushed by this vomit, that means the vomit came out without his consent, then there is no qada. Qada means that is to compensate. And he who had deliberately, he put his finger into his mouth and he put it out. That's deliberately. So, or you trying to, strive to go and get yourself vomiting because you swallowed something or whatever, you had not good food or whatever it is. So you deliberately tried to vomit. But if the vomit came by itself, you couldn't really hold it, it just came out, it does not break your fast. So this is called al-qay, vomiting deliberately. Number 4 and 5.
Number 4 and 5, menstruation and post-childbirth bleeding. Even if these occur at the last moment before sundown, they break the fast according to the consensus of scholars.
Right. So this is hayd al-nafas, which is something which is not within the capability of the women. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the women, for her fast to be valid, she should not have any menses or postnatal from Fajr until sunset. So he says here that even if she was fasting until the last moment before sunset, the sun is setting, the bottom of the disk is just going down now, still part of the sun is showing, and she had her menses, the day is invalid. The same thing that if the menses was staying with her just after the Fajr, so the dawn had appeared and still have menses, and then stopped 5 minutes after, she cannot fast that day. So she has to have no menses within the time between Fajr, dawn, and between what? Sunset. So we've got to write down as well here that even if the menses was at the beginning of the Fajr, she cannot fast that day. Now, Fadl number 6. Yeah, write it down.
Number 6, sexual intercourse. The one who commits this act must perform the expiation that is described in the following hadith. Abu Hurairah narrated, While we were sitting with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a man came and said, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I have been destroyed. He asked him, what has happened to you? He replied, I had intercourse with my wife while I was fasting. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then told him, do you have a slave that you can free? He replied, no. He then said, can you fast 2 months consecutively? He replied, no. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then asked him, can you feed 60 poor people? He replied, no. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam then kept silent when a big basket full of dates was brought to him. He said, where is the questioner? The man replied, it is I. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, take these dates and give them to charity. The man said, to someone poorer than I, O Messenger of Allah, by Allah, there is no family between Medina's mountains poorer than I. The Prophet ﷺ laughed to such an extent that his premolars could be seen. He then said, feed your family with it.
Right. This is the sixth one, al-jima', which is with the consensus of all scholars. It is also a fast invalidator. Now, whether the person ejaculates or do not ejaculate. So it's important to know that it's just the intercourse without ejaculation or with ejaculation. Okay, so whether it's with ejaculation or without it. This jima' entails something which is extra than the other ones, which is al-kaffara al-mughallada, the strong expiation, harsh expiation. And that is, you have to do the following. This is what man had done. Companion, we don't know his name. He had made jima' with his wife, and he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Messenger of Allah, halakt. And there is another narration. And there's another narration which says ahlakt. So the two narrations. Halakt means I've had it. Ahlakt means I destroyed somebody else. It means his wife. Okay, halakt or ahlakt. And both has got, entailing meaning. What is that? Halakt, I've had it. That means, I basically, I've done something that is actually, I've ruined my fast. But ahlakt, I've ruined my fast and ruined somebody else's fast, which is his wife. She said, what happened? Oh, I went for intercourse with my wife while I'm fasting, which is in Ramadan. So he said, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, do you have a slave to free? He said, no. Okay, are you able to fast 2 months consecutively? He said, no. Do you find food to give for 60 poor people? He said, no. So the Prophet ﷺ, he waited until he was brought by, he says what? Arab, what does he say there? Arab, he was brought what?
He was brought a
basket?
Basket.
Well done. Basket of dates. Basket of dates. And he asked after that, which is from Sadaqat. He asked, what is that person who asked me the question? He said, me, Messenger of Allah. He said, take this and give it Sadaqah. He said, Messenger of Allah. But there is no one who is poorer than me. There's another narration says, by Allah, between the two labatayn. Is it between the two lavas?
I said between the two Medina's mountains.
Between the mountains, lava mountains. Between the two lavas, al-Harratayn, there is not a single house which is poorer than my house. Prophet ﷺ, he laughed and until his incisors were showing, and then he said, give it to your family. Our Shaykh al-Albani used to say in Arabic, عملها وأكلها. I was laughing. He's laughing. عملها وأكلها. Sounds the same. That means عملها, he had intercourse, and yet he had eaten the dates on top of that. Do you understand that? He had done the crime, okay, and at the same time he had what? Been honored by more food, which is why, because he's poor. Yeah. عملها وأكلها. This man, he said, okay, another narration said, by Allah, to make it an oath. There's no one is poorer than me. Now the Medina is not 5 people, 6 people, 1,000. There are thousands of people there. And I don't think this person works with the socials. social workers to know which one is poorer. Chinisami, it's going to study, they find out how much is your salary, and I'm poorer than you are. It could be somebody poorer than him, but he said, by Allah, there's no one poorer than me. Scholars, they said, Prophet ﷺ did not correct this, meaning that if the person, he is more of a certain, not even 100%, you could make an oath of that. He's not really 100%, he's the poorest person, but he believes. Most likely, he's the poorest person. Maybe he's not. He said, Wallahi, between the two mountains, that means the whole of Medina, not a single person poorer. That's when the Prophet ﷺ laughed. He said, okay, take it to your family. So he went and took it to his family. This is al-kafar al-mu'allal. So the person, if he had done, number one, intercourse, whether ejaculation or urine. Number two, in the month of Ramadan. Number three, fasting is obligatory upon him. Number four, and that is he remembers his fasting. Number five, he has the knowledge that the fasting entails breaking of the fast. It doesn't matter whether he knows there's a kafara or not. Okay. Number six, he has done it deliberately. Number seven, he has done it with his choice. If these conditions are there, then he must do the kafara. Let's just in condition by condition. Number one, that he made the intercourse. So if there's no intercourse, it's just hugging, kissing, whatever. There's no intercourse, which is the penetration. Number two, it has to be Ramadan. So if it is a compensating of day of Ramadan, there is no kafara muwallada. So the kafara, the big penalty, which is that is to free a slave, if you can't in the fast 2 consecutive months, it has to be what? Ramadan. So if you're compensating a day from Ramadan, a different date, no, there's no kafara. So number one, what we said, that is the intercourse. Number two, write down. That is, it has to be Ramadan. Number three, it has to be that the fasting is compulsory. That means maybe he's a traveler. He's a traveler, no problem, he could intercourse. If he's ill, he could intercourse because he doesn't want to fast. So fasting is not obligatory upon him. Okay? So it has to be, fasting is obligatory upon the person. Number four, that this person, he knows that the intercourse breaks his fast. It doesn't matter whether he knows there's a kafara or not. So knowing that this will nullify is enough. You don't need to know for you to know that whether it is it a punishment or not. I'll give you an example. Person who committed, let's say, he just came into Islam, Muslim, in a Muslim state. Fornication, if you are married or been married before, if you committed this fornication, adultery, what is the penalty? Stoning to death, isn't it? Okay. So this person who preached Islam, knew that it is not allowed, haram, to make fornication if he's married or been married before with a woman. But he doesn't know that the penalty is stoning to death. So if he had been caught by 4 witnesses, or he himself confessed, okay, so we will implement the stoning to death. If he said, I didn't know that the punishment, it was stoning to death, I would have never done it. I knew it wasn't only haram, that's enough. So knowing it is haram, then we'll entail the punishment. If he didn't know it was haram, it's no problem, fornication, okay, then that's something we will be exempted. So this person, he knows it is going to be ruining his fast. So I didn't know that there will be a slave to be freed or going to be fasted 2 months. That's beside the point. Number 5, he has to remember. So maybe if he forgot in the month of Ramadan he's fasting, she forgot as well, the woman that he's making his wife. Okay? I mean, this is maybe very rare, but let's say he forgot. You know, you're in the sleep, he woke up, and he didn't do course. Oh, it's a month of Ramadan, so he forgot. So he forgot, there's no expiation. Number 6, that he has, so number 6, he has the choice. He has not been forced by somebody. How could he be forced? The wife. You know, maybe the husband forced the wife. The wife got nothing to do. So the husband will be penalized, but not the wife, because she's being forced. Number 7, we said the last thing, which is knowledge. So he knows it is haram. We said that before?
Yeah.
So can you just repeat them again?
So one is that they made intercourse.
Intercourse. So this is intercourse.
Number 2 is Ramadan.
Ramadan. He knows it's Ramadan.
The fasting is compulsory.
He knows that the fast. So this is the
The fasting that he's doing.
no, it's compulsory upon him. Number 3. Number 4.
Number 4, he has knowledge that.
So the knowledge, yes, he's got the knowledge.
Number 5 is that he must remember that.
He must remember his fasting. Yes.
Number 6, that it has to be a choice and not forced.
Not to be forced. Number 7, that he deliberately did it. What is that deliberate? What is it? It's not a mistake. Like for example, he woke up and there was penetration, but was not deliberate. You understand me? He woke up and there was penetration. There was intercourse. But it was not deliberate. Maybe he did it while he was asleep. He was dreaming. So it's not deliberate. So all these 7 conditions. Otherwise, there will be no penalizing. Okay, fine. Now we finished the nullifiers according to the book. We're going to add. We're going to add. And that is, number 1, we're going to add nourishment injections. What is nourishment injection? Glucose. Any nourishment injection that will substitute the food and the drink, people can live on glucose for years, isn't it? It's called a drip. So the drip, that where the person doesn't need food and drink, that will nullify. How did the scholars arrive to this? This is qiyas, analogy. All the other nullifiers, there's a Quran or Sunnah to back it up. But this one is analogy. Because this person is having the food and the drink, okay, from different channel, and that is from the blood, veins. And by the way, I need to add as well the food with the drink from, the first nullifier, from the mouth or the nose. Okay, from the mouth or the nose. These are the 2 ways. So if you had food from your eyes, there's not nullify. I don't know if you're gonna have food in your eyes, but okay. There is.
And the eye drops, for example.
Yeah, eye drops, see? Like example, eye drops. Have you ever seen this person who drinks milk and he got the milk out of his eyes? Google it, YouTube it, you'll see it. He drank milk and he made the milk come out of his eyes. I don't know how, don't ask me. But like he said, the eye drops, it does not nullify. So it is only the mouth and the nose. So the nose drop, if it goes inside, it will what? Nullify. So from the mouth or the nose, the food goes from the mouth and nose, it will break your fast. If it is any other way, no, except if it's a drip, which is going to be compensating the food and the drink. So if I tell you, for example, COVID vaccination, does that break your fast? No, it does not. It's not food and drink. Steroid.
Yes, because that is nourishment.
Yeah, but it's not a food and drink. It's nourishment. But you see, that's why, okay, it says nourishment. I'm going to now make it to cancel the word nourishment. Having a ghusl while you're fasting, I'm really hot. I'm not hot, I just want to have a ghusl. Does it break my fast?
No.
But it's nourishment, isn't it? You see, nourishment. So the word, I'm talking about food nourishment. So this person who's having steroids is not going to break the fast. I'm talking about somebody's having something to live on, like the drip. That's glucose. That is a person who will say to him, in the first place, we tell you don't fast. If you are in a stage that you need the drip, you are ill. You shouldn't be fasting in the first place. Okay, so the food and the drink, if it is from the mouth and the nose, will add. So people, eardrops, the eardrops, does it break the fast? No. So a person, he put an eye drop or an ear drop, and he felt it in his what? In his throat. Some people, they do that. Not the nose drop, I'm talking about the ear drop. So what do? It doesn't break the fast. So if you feel it, spit it out. That's it. Khalas. But if it's the nose drop done inside, it invalidates your fast. Fine. Inhalers.
No.
Why?
Because it's not food or drink.
Okay. He says inhalers is not food and drink. Somebody smoking cigarettes.
That's different because that is harmful.
It's not food or drink, is it?
Does it end up in your stomach?
So can I just ask first of all, is smoking cigarettes break your fast or not?
Yes, I think so.
So who doesn't say that doesn't break your fast? Shia doesn't say. The Rafida said no problem to smoke cigarettes. The Rafida Shia, no problem to smoke cigarettes. So you find them smoking. Mullah like this and smoking during Ramadan. No problem for them. No problem for them. Wallah, they smoke cigarettes, no problem. It doesn't make you fast. Right. And they said that if you feel fasting is too difficult, travel for 25 kilometers and break your fast. Just travel, make trouble yourself. Allah Musta'an. Right. Ikhwani, in Arabic we call shurb al-dukhan. Sharib al-dukhan. It's like a drink. Smoking cigarettes. Cigarettes, ya Ikhwani, breaks your fast because you are inhaling it deliberately. If you are next to somebody who's smoking cigarettes, you don't break your fast. He breaks his fast. So if you are in a bus, let's say in a country, and you are fasting, and all of this smoking, in our country, they smoke all of the time in buses. Okay? So you got all the bus smoking and you're not smoking. All of them, they will break the fast, except what? For you. Because you're not deliberately inhaling the smoke of the cigarettes. Unless you say to him, come on, brother, smoke onto me. Yeah. Nice. Okay, that will break your fast.
What about the fragrance then?
So this is now smoking will break the fast. We're going to come to it one by one. So anything that you do regarding now, we're going to come back to what was the question regarding, first of all, before we go to the bakhur. What is the question? What he said to you? Why did I say this? You remember?
Inhalers.
Inhalers. That's the question. Inhaler. The inhaler is of two types. One which is gas and one which is liquid. The liquid, if it goes into the mouth and you swallow it, it will break your fast. But most of the inhalers, I wish that your doctors, your father is here. Most of the inhalers are gas. And they just release air. This air does not go to your stomach. It goes to what? The lungs. That's why inhalers do not break your fast. Okay? So that gas goes to your lungs. It does not go to your stomach. Coming now to the incense. You know the incense? Incense, which is the bakhur, incense. Incense, if you deliberately bring the incense burner and you start doing like this, that they do in Saudi Arabia, that will break your fast. Because that incense would leave, we call it a germ, something like a stain into your stomach. We leave a stain here. So that's like smoking cigarettes, same thing. But if you came to a house where it's full of incense, it's no problem about that. Okay? So that, the incense and all of that, if you deliberately take it inside, it will break the fast. Fine. After we finish this, we're going to add as well 2, which is number, was that number 8? Yes? Number 8. That is, a person intentionally wanted to break his fast. So he said, Khalas, I've had enough. I want to break my fast. I can't take it anymore. Or he said, well, he has to travel and he's in the middle of the day. I decided to break my fast. His decisive decision to break the fast, it will what? Break his fast. Do you understand that, Ikhwani? It's very important to understand this. It's different from the following. Oh, the fast is we are traveling, but we're fasting Ramadan. You got the option to what? To break the fast. And you said, what? It's about Asr time. It's got about 2 hours left. And you said, Khalas, wallah, I can't take it. Once I reach that petrol station, I will what? Break my fast. Once I reach that service station, I will break my fast. Once you arrived to that service, it took you a bit of time and you left about half an hour. No, khalas, let me continue fasting. That intention will not invalidate your fast. See, the first 2 intentions are different. One, you said, I'm going to break my fast now. And the other one, you said, you're hesitating. I'll arrive at the petrol station, I will break my fast there. Once you arrive there, you change your intention, no problem. But once you've done it now, decisively, I'm going to break my fast, you broke your fast. So any person who violates a condition or a pillar within the act of the worship, he will invalidate it. If it is afterwards, no problem. So after you finish the fasting, no problem. It will not invalidate. But while you're doing the act, so if you are in the prayer, you decided in the prayer that I'm going to come after the prayer. Khalas, I'm going to finish the prayer. The prayer is cut off. So you finished your intention, you stopped your intention. You are making wudu. Okay? While you're making wudu, you're washing mouth, somebody rang. You said, I'm going to continue later. Khalas, I'm going to finish my wudu. So you want to answer the call, I'm not going to continue later. That will invalidate the wudu. That means you're going to start from the beginning. But if after you finish the wudu, it doesn't matter. Fine. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the person's intention and is hesitating, it will not count. This has been taken from different hadith. One hadith, for example, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he was praying with the Prophet ﷺ, and because the Prophet ﷺ was praying the night prayer and he was serving him, he was long standing. So he said to the companions after he had finished, he said, I almost did something bad. I almost did something. What? I almost left the Prophet ﷺ standing and I sat down. See, too much for him. Even his young man, the Prophet is old. He couldn't take it. Nobody can take the ibadah of the Prophet of Allah. Okay, so he said, I almost left him standing and sat down. Couldn't take it. But this is he's not what? He done it. He hasn't done it. So that ham, you will not be taken for that because you did not really decisive for it. But if you decided to break it, then yes. Fine. Now I'm going to ask, you are on a state of wudu. You are on a state of wudu. You have intended to pass wind. Do you understand me? Passing wind, what does it do to the wudu? Breaks the wudu. I intended, so I'm pushing now, because I put something in my mouth. I'm pushing, but I couldn't get anything out. So I had the intention, decisive, and also I had the action, but nothing came out. Did I break my wudu or not? Yeah, fadl. No, you were coming to the wudu classes, mashallah. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. No, it does not. This is not within the wudu act. Wudu is finished. You are in a state of tahara until you are proved otherwise. You will not invalidate your wudu until what? You pass the wind. So you go into the toilet and you thought you're going to break it and then just, let me just continue. No problem. Your wudu is still valid. But if you are within the wudu and you decided to break your intention for the wudu while you're making the wudu before you wash your feet, for example, that's will break the wudu. But alhamdulillah. How many we said invalidates now?
Oh, bro, a couple more than I think
Okay, so it's 9. So 8. So we're going to be 9, ridda, apostasy. Any person committed shirk, he just left the deen, even momentarily, it will break his fast straight away. Fine. Now we're going to talk about a couple of invalidators which are controversial. The ones I brought you before, most of them are with consensus. Like for example, the last one, which is apostasy, it's got consensus. Okay. Which is the feeding, which is a drip, or the drip. The drip is almost consensus. That it will not consensus, but almost consensus. That it will break. And also the intention, which is the decisive intention, will break your wudu. That's almost consensus. That you intended decisively to break your wudu, to break your fast. Sorry. Now we're coming to the two which are controversial. Number one, that is discharging the mani deliberately with lust. Discharging the sperm, the mani, the semen, okay, with lust. So whether this person, he had done it himself, which is haram, or he had asked his wife to do it for him, which is halal, if he deliberately. So that's controversial. As for the person during the month of Ramadan, and he approached his wife, not deliberately and approach his wife, I'm just saying, and he had kissed or hugged, and then he had discharged, ejaculated the mani, okay, then that does not break the fast. But we're talking now, you deliberately, you wanted to ejaculate it. That's controversial. So many scholars say it's fast breaker, and few scholars say it's not fast breaker. And when you look at it and investigate it, there is no proof to say it is an invalidator. There's no proof. The proof they bring is circumstantial. That means it's not really clear cut. If you want me to go through the proofs of theirs and tackle them, I will do that. If you just satisfy with saying that it does not break your fast, I will satisfy myself with that, because it's going to take me time. You could ask me in question time if you wish. So this is ejaculation. It's called ejaculation of the sperm with lust. So there is no ejaculation, it does not break the fast. And if it's not with lust, it does not break the fast, and deliberately. The second one, which is controversial, and that is the hajim wal mahjum, the one who does hijama, and the one whose hijama is done upon him. Prophet said, after al-hajim wal mahjum, the person who does hijama and the one who's done, and who's the one who's done hijama has been done upon him, both of them are breaking the fast, which is taking the blood through the person with hijama, or through hijama. Taking the blood through hijama. This is controversial, but the correct opinion, it does not break the hijab. Number one, why? Because, first of all, Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, the breaking of the fast is something going in, not something coming out. Something going in, not something coming. That's number one. Number two, the Prophet ﷺ, according to Hadith Jabir, he made hijama at the end, so it was an obligation. It was at the beginning, there is a breaking of the fast, but later on, the Prophet ﷺ made hijama while he was fasting. And Anas radiallahu Prophet Allah made hijama while he's fasting. So that means an obligation. Thirdly, the scholars who said it breaks the fast, they said it if this person, they said it for the person who's been the hijama done upon him, but if the person who's doing the hijama, if he's doing it through the old method is sucking. What do? First, they make cutting on the body, and then after that they bring the horn. It's like a horn. What is it? The qarn. And then this, it's like a cone, and they put it and they start sucking. That's the old method. That's why the Prophet of Allah, he said, even the person who's doing hijama on the person will not break the fast. But now these days we walk with tools. It's like a machine, like a gun, air gun. In that case, the person who's doing hijama, he will not break his fast. Even for those scholars who say that is a fast breaker. But still for them, the one whom his hijama is done upon him, he had broken his fast because of that hadith. We say, Allah ibn Abbas, he said, the breaking of the fast is for something going in, not coming out. Number two, the Prophet of Allah, according to Anas, and according to Jabir ibn Abdullah, he made hijama at the end of his life, before even the last years of his life, while he was fasting. So it's not break the fast. Khalas, alhamdulillah. Stop here. And we give you now 15 minutes, inshallah, for questions and answers. Have any questions regarding what we heard? Please go ahead and ask, because this is Ramadan. So let me just now summarize and add as well, summarize the fasting breakers or the fasting nullifiers as follows. Food, drink, regardless of the food is beneficial or not beneficial, if it goes from the mouth and all the nose. Third, and that is deliberate vomit. Fourth, and that is the hayd al-nifas, which is menstruation and postnatal. Number 5, the jima', which is what? The intercourse. Number 6, that is the nourish, or the drip, I should call it. Number 7, the person's intention decisively to break. Number 8, and that is apostasy. And that's it. Yes. Number 8.
We said cigarettes as well.
No. Talking about these items. Cigarettes is we said food and drink. It's called food and drink. Yes, they will. And the two controversial is they are the one which is ejaculation of the sperm with lust, and the one which is the hijama. Both we say they don't break the fast. Those are the breakers. Now, for those breakers to break the fast, you have to fulfill 4 conditions. Otherwise, these conditions not there, you're not breaking the fast. Condition number 1, knowledge. Knowledge of the time and knowledge of the rule. Knowledge of the time, that means if you have food and drink, you're thinking that still the dawn is not on. Then you realize the dawn is on. Don't worry. You broke your fast thinking the sun had set. Okay, but the sun actually did not set. Okay, sorry about that. So the sun did not set yet. So you thought, looked at the clouds, you thought the sun is set, or you looked at the time and you clock, mashallah, was reading too fast. You thought it was past the time of the Maghrib. You drank and then realized, oh, my clock is really too fast. Okay, no problem. So this is called the knowledge of the time. Also the knowledge of the rule. If you didn't know the piece of paper breaks your fast, no problem. You understand me? So if you swallow the piece of paper deliberately, but you didn't know the piece of paper, you thought it has to be kebab and has to be something like this that breaks your fast, then that piece of paper will not break your fast. Diesel. You were, for example, I don't know if people can bring diesel, but let's say, for example, you're helping somebody to put some petrol in this. So you take it from your petrol tank into his petrol tank. So the old method, they put the pipe and you started sucking, swallowed that. No problem, diesel stuff, okay. Okay, that, if you didn't know that, it will not break your fast. Okay, so it has to be knowledge in the what? Time, knowledge of the what? The rule. What's the proof for that? Knowledge of the time. What's the proof for that? Knowledge of the time, the proof for that. Hadith Asma, radiallahu anha. Asma, radiallahu anha, she said, we broke the fast on a day, on the time of the Prophet of Allah, thinking the sun had set, and then the sun had came out. That's Hadith of Sahih Bukhari. And Asma, she said, أفطرنا في عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في يوم غيم. It was cloudy. And look how it was cloudy. If it was you, you should say, let me take precautionary time. Straight away, they thought the sun set, they what? They broke the fast. Then the sun appeared. What's the proof that the knowledge of the time, what's the proof in this hadith? What's the proof in this hadith? They said, we have broken the fast on a cloudy day on the Prophet and then the sun had appeared. What's the proof here? Anybody will tell me? The Prophet did not command to do what? To redo that day. That's the proof. The Prophet of Allah did not command to what? To make up for that day. That's the proof. The proof of the knowledge, I mean the hukm, the proof that you have to have knowledge of the rule of that is that Adi ibn Hatim al-Ta'i, Adi, he embraced Islam and he had misinterpreted the following verse. وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, eat and drink until you distinguish the black thread, khayt, from the white thread, from the dawn. So he came and he started now his fasting for Ramadan. During the night, what he did, he put 2 feathers for the camel. One is black, one is white. And then he dispelled. And he started to eat. You remember there's no electricity. So he will get them out. He can't distinguish the black from the white, still eating. Then he puts them back in the pillow, and then he keeps eating. And then after that he pulls them out. Still, I can't distinguish between the black thread and the white thread. Until he distinguished between these 2 things, he stopped. That's of course well up to the Fajr, because there was no electricity. Then he went to the Prophet. He said, Inna wisadaka la'aridun ya Adi. MashaAllah, your pillow is really big. You got a big pillow, MashaAllah, to have this, your thread and your tether for the camel. He said, no, this is the red, the night from the Fajr. So the black thread is the night, the white thread is the dawn. So that we distinguish the night from the Fajr. It's not the black thread and white thread. So this is now, Prophet of Allah did not tell him to redo that day. Why? Because he did not know the what? The rule. Okay. Second condition. Second condition is that remembrance. If you did not remember Regardless whether you did not remember to intercourse, you did not remember, for example, to food and drink, you did not remember to have you didn't remember. That nullifier will not be a nullifier. So I drank, I didn't remember it was Ramadan. It happens in the first days of Ramadan, lots of people drink. And Allah said, قَدْ أَطْعَمَهُ اللَّهُ وَأَسْقَى. Allah has given him food and drink. You saw me drinking this first day of my fast. You know me, I'm not going to be breaking my fast deliberately. You know me, I'm fasting, don't you? I'm drinking. What are you going to say to me? Nothing, let me drink, or you're going to tell me off? What are you going to remind you? So remind me. Yeah, you reminded me. You know that I'm fasting. You know that I am not going to violate this, especially in front of you. Why don't you let me, akhi? This is Allah's food and drink here. Do you understand me? Why do you remind? Why you told me? Just leave me, akhi, and drink my drink. Remind me later. Finish. Let me have my drink. No, but he's correct. You should remind me. Because this is for him enjoining good, forbidding evil. Even he knows 100% I'm not doing it because I want to break my fast. So Allah's giving me the no. Because from part of Allah has given you this food and drink, that anybody else had seen you, they should tell you. And I should not complain, brother, why didn't you tell me? Let me have my breakfast, my drink. Can't do that. Right. So we see remembrance. Third condition, that is deliverance. Deliverance. What is the proof? رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا وَأَخْطَأْنَا. Oh Lord, do not take us on account if we do something out of mistake, rather forgetfulness. So here, deliverance. What is the opposite of deliverance? Mistake. You're making wudu. You know you're fasting. You know water is gonna break your fast, but you're making wudu, you know this, and you remember you're fasting. But while you're making you swallowed water. Does that break your fast? No, because not what? Not deliberate. It's a mistake. I'm remembering I'm fasting. I'm fasting. And I know as well the rule of the water will break my fast. But it's by mistake. The water get inside, it will not break my fast. Fourth condition, choice. Choice, that means I do have my choice. You don't have my choice. Somebody saying, if you don't drink, I will shoot you. Brother, I'm fasting. I will shoot you, doesn't matter. Drink, akhi. And it will not break your fast. Because you did not have the what? The choice. Alhamdulillah, those are the four conditions attached to the nullifiers of the fast. If one of the conditions is not there, your nullifier will not be a nullifier. Right, have any questions? Fadal, ikhwani. No, only on Ramadan, ikhwani. Only fasting and all of that. Fadal.
If you go for a dental treatment, manipulation,
Injection.
anesthetic injection.
Okay, can I just ask now? You are the muftis and he is the questioner. Okay, the one who's questioning is you are the muftis, all of you. He is saying, I'm going to the dentist. Okay, and he has to do his teeth. And they're giving him injection, anesthetic, in the gum. Yeah, the gum. Okay, is that breaks the fast or not? And what are you going to answer it? What is you going to answer it? Fadal, ya akhi. Yalla, give him an answer. You sheikh.
He won't break the fast
That's it?
because
He doesn't know, he doesn't need because. Khalas, you are the sheikh. Because of what? Go on, tell me.
well, it's not going through the mouth.
It's not going in the mouth. So it's not going inside you. Yeah. Anybody going to answer apart from this answer? Anybody? Fadal? Yalla. Huh?
Does my blood leaking out? You might swallow that.
So you're going to break it. So what are you going to tell him? You're going to break your fast or what? You're going to tell him. You're going to tell him.
Swallow the blood.
Because if he swallow the blood, he will break the fast. He doesn't swallow the blood. So should he go to the dentist or not?
Yes.
Okay.
You can wait for a month, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. It's good.
You can wait until Ramadan.
Right. So he's saying to you, it's better not to do this during the day when you are fasting. Do it at night. Of course, during the night, you're going to be closed anyway. Yeah. So then, if it's emergency. So he say, if you are, because it's nothing to do with the gum as well, you're going to be gargle, and all of that. We say to you, if you need it, not emergency, if you need it, if there's pain and everything, then go. If you don't need it, because you don't know what's going to happen. But gum anesthetic does not break your fast. He drew our attention to the blood. Ikhwani, the blood. And please, the word spittle, write it down. The phlegm. The blood, ya Ikhwani. The person, if he swallowed the blood, okay, without him knowing, it doesn't break the fast. But what about if he knows? If he kept swallowing blood, I like it, that will break the blood, that break the fast. But normally it is the case, the blood does not break the fast. Unless you deliberately, swallow it. The phlegm, and you swallow it. Disgusting. Okay? Disgusting. But it will not break the fast. It's your saliva, it's your phlegm. But if you spat it out, your phlegm, and then you licked it, sorry about that. Then you licked it back again, it will break your fast. Okay? Because it becomes a foreign body. So if you put it on the table and then you licked it back again, it will break your fast. Because it became foreign body now. But once it's in your mouth, it's from your mouth. Okay? Some of the scholars, they said even the blood does not break your fast, even if you swallow it, because it's part of you, no problem. But as I said, if you are enjoying swallowing the blood, there's something else. It's called ar-ru'af. Ar-ru'af. Bleeding your gum, it does not break your fast. So going to the dentist, we say to you, if you need to go, go. Gum anesthetic will not break your fast, so don't worry about it. Okay? But when you gargle with your mouth down. Don't gargle with your mouth up like this. So you make the gravity to help you so that the water will not be swallowed. So if you gargle like this, it's in the fasting as well. When you make, for example, wudu, don't make like that. That is going to break your fast because somehow the water is going to go inside. Toothpaste does not break your fast unless you swallow the toothpaste itself. But the flavor that stays behind, no problem. No problem, that flavor. So you mix it with your saliva and it goes inside, no problem. That's a flavor. That's not particles. As long as you wash your mouth from the paste and all of the paste is gone, the flavor stayed, no problem. Now, further.
This treatment for asthma, you can take inhaler or you can have a nebulization, with the papers with the machine. So using both doesn't break the fast.
Yeah, the nebulization is actually it's like vapor, isn't it? Vapor. Yes, vapor. It's like a gas inhaler. Yes, yes, yeah. So it will not, inshallah, break your fast. No, it goes through your lungs. This is no. It's like a vapor. It's not liquid, is it?
It is a bit of water, but it's like vaporization.
Vaporization. Inshallah, it will not break your fast. It's like an inhaler. Inhaler is the same thing, by the way. It's gas pressurized. You know, in the gas bottle, it's a liquid. You know that. But it goes to an air. If there's mist in it, and then if you are going to your stomach, it will break your fast. If there's mist in it, okay, that will break your fast. There's mist in it, it will break your fast. And this is a good question, actually. So if it is the gas inhaler, it turns into air, definitely full air. There's no mist in it. But that thing is a mist. I haven't tried it myself. Inshallah, I will not try it. Inshallah, I will not be ill to try that one.
Life-saving treatment for the.
Okay. If it does, it will break you fast. Some people like this, Yakhwan, when they reach this stage, we tell them, don't fast. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. If you are ill, just compensate.
If someone gets a small, painkiller,
Painkillers, no problem. Because it's not nourishment. Painkillers. Huh? No, it doesn't matter. If I'm having, for example, let's say antibiotics, antidotes, no problem. It's only the drip that will suffice you from food and drink. That's the one will. Jazakallah khair for the question. Looks like you're asking for those people who are in the hospital. Representing people in the hospital, mashallah.
Does losing consciousness or fainting break the fast?
Was well done question. You see the sisters, mashallah, asking very good questions. Huh?
Clever than us.
I'm not going to repeat that. طيب. Somebody said that you are cleverer than us and sisters. Allah musta'an. طيب. إخواني, person who falls unconscious, مغمى عليه. There's a difference among the scholars. Does it break his fast or it doesn't? We say definitely it breaks his wudu. You remember that? Yeah, because like sleeping, deep sleep, more than deep sleep, it's deeper than the deep sleep. But breaking the fast is controversial. Wallahu a'lam, it doesn't. Stronger opinion, it doesn't break your fast. It breaks, okay, it breaks your feeling conscious, for example, momentarily, 5 minutes, half an hour within the Ramadan, it will not break your fast. Wallahu a'lam. Now,
Do insulin injections break the fast?
was that?
Insulin injections.
Insulin that for the diabetes does not break the fast. It's not drip. So this is a very good question as well. Insulin does not. Yarhamukallah. Now, by the way, unconscious, it does not break your fast, but insanity, that breaks your fast. Do you understand that? Insanity, losing the brains completely, it becomes insane.
One of the
Majnoon.
prerequisites for fasting is
Yeah?
sanity.
Yeah, sanity. Now, fun.
Do nosebleeds or excessive bleeding from an injury break the fast?
It does not break the fast. Remember, breaking the fast is for something going in, not coming out. So you have been bleeding, injured. So when the person asked me about the brother, about the blood coming from the gums, it does not break the fast. It's only the swallowing. That's what the scholar said. Why you are person swallowing it? But you're having teeth bleeding, it does not break the fast. Now,
This was answered, but what about people in conflict zones where they are forced to eat? So, for example, in
they're
China-
forced to eat, yeah, there's not. So in China, that works a lot. So for example, they tell them, the workers, they have to, in front of them, eat. No problem, it does not break the fast. So make them, look, okay, I'm eating. He doesn't know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them exemption. Unless these people are going to read the fiqh now and say, oh my God, even we force them, still they can fast. Alhamdulillah, no matter what they're going to do, Allah's got what? An alibi for you. So the Ammar ibn Yasir, radiallahu anhu warda, he swore at the Prophet because he was tortured. They slain in front of him, his father and his mother. And he swore at the Prophet because he saved himself. But when they let him go, he felt terrible. What have I done? The Prophet asked him, he said, mustn't you have done this? He was so shy to ask him. He said, if they came back to you to do the same thing, do the same thing what you have said. That means insult me, it doesn't matter. So committing a part, that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. All of that, the person who is being compelled to do kufr while his heart is full of iman, it does not make you as a apostate, a kafir. So if you have taken the food or the drink like in China, to satisfy those people or in the authority, billah, it does not break your fast. You are fasting. Even if they forced you to about 24, you have to eat every 5 minutes. But you're intended to fast and you have no choice. Otherwise, they will torture you or kill you. You're fasting. Allah musta'an.
What about going to a sauna or a steam room?
Going to a sauna, it does not break your fast. Going to a steam room. Steam room. Steam room does not break fast unless you are one. You start sucking the air like that Nephilim things. Okay, it's like the one. So no problem, inshallah. If you start inhaling the air, now.
If you rebuke someone in anger but doesn't mean it.
If you rebuke somebody in anger, what is that? What's the question?
My mom said it's not that question, but it was someone's.
Yeah, but what is the question? If somebody had, again, the question?
If you rebuke someone in anger but doesn't mean it, I assume, does that break your fast?
If you rebuke somebody in anger, no. If you have lied, if you rebuke somebody, you've scratched, Kwani, it's called spiritual fast, which is very important. But it does not mean that if I have lied, or if I have swore, I have done something that I need to compensate for fasting another day. No way. But we say that you fasted for nothing. That's the whole thing. All you've got now, all you've done is just abstain from food and drink. And the thing that we need from your fast is to abstain from the obscenity. So there's no reward, but we can't. And the problem is you cannot compensate. So if you drank, okay, you could compensate by fasting another day. But this one you can't. You fasted the day, but you didn't get what? Anything from that day. SubhanAllah. Whereas if you drank water, of course not deliberately, to drink water isn't because you're ill, because you understand, it's not because you have no reason. You have no reason, no matter what you do, you can't compensate that day. If you deliberately had food and drink on the day of Ramadan, you have to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and increase in making voluntary day. That day cannot be compensated. Khwani, the jima', just reminded me this, jima' which is intercourse. The jima' entails, as we said, the big kafara. So this person, he has to, number one, if that is to free a slave. If he can't, then he goes to the fasting of the 2 months. Now, fasting of the 2 months, they have to be consecutive. I can't break a day in between. So if I broke a day because of traveling, because of guests, because of illness, no problem. So let's say I'm fasting a month, then before the second, or fasting 5 days, I have to travel, I have to break the days, no problem. But if you deliberately had got nothing, or no traveling, or not ill, and you have broken these 2 months, am I going to be starting the 2 months again? That's debatable, because there is no proof. But you'll be sinned, definitely. Our Sheikh Al-Albani was asked, he said, I can't answer that question. Our Sheikh Al-Albani, I can't answer the question because there's no proof to say that you started all over again. But you have to fast it continuously. If you did not, you'd be sinned, unless you had an alibi, like illness, like traveling, yes. And also in the hadith, which is the narration, add that to the narration, which is I've added it already here, and that is also on top of the 2 months, you fast that day. So now 60 days plus 1, the day that you made an intercourse with. Because in the hadith, وَصُمْ يَوْمًا بَدَلًا مِنْ, and also he said to fast a day instead of it. Okay? So you got to fast a day instead of it. Now, what is the kafara which is close to this, by the way? What is the kafara? It's close to this. It's a kafara expiation which is close to if you made intercourse with your wife, with your free choice in the month of Ramadan deliberately, and you remember, you have this kafara which is free a slave if you can't, fast 2 months if you can't, feed 64 people. What is the other crime that you could do? It will entail the same kafara. Anybody? There is one, only one. If you do it, I'll give you 20 pounds. I'm realistic now. I can't say 200 pounds.
Breaking the oath.
Huh?
Breaking the oath.
An oath?
Oh, I think I remember.
No.
I remember. It's when a man has intercourse with his menstruating wife.
A man who is intercoursing with his menstruating wife. No. That was not a kafara. Fasted 2 months. You're going to kill that person. No. That person. What is the kafara of a person who had intercourse with his wife while she's on her menstruation?
What was that?
No. You remember? If he's rich, 1 dinar of gold, sadaqah. If he's not rich, half a dinar of gold. We talked about that. 1 dinar has nothing to do with freeing a slave. Okay, this person, he had intercourse with his wife at the end of his, this is, by the way, by mistake, not deliberately. Deliberate is haram. It's haram.
It's not hunting with the haram.
Hunting with the haram, no. You are going to be paying the same hunt. So if you hunted a deer, you had to slaughter a sheep. No? Okay. I'm going to give you one which is not. The sisters can name were they able to know the answer?
They said fasting 3 months. I'm not sure what that means.
Okay. What is the crime that is it entail the same kafara, equivalent kafara?
Is this when you were in Hajj?
Not the Hajj. Okay. Okay. One kafara of a crime which is not similar, which is almost it, which is if you killed somebody deliberately. If you consent them deliberately, then you have to free a slave. Okay, you have to what? Free a slave. If you can't free a slave, or you have, or as you call it, cozy death, shit, almost deliberately, almost, not deliberate, almost. You have to free a slave. If you can't, you fast what? 2 months. But there is no feeding 60 poor people.
When you said that's all, if you do that, then everyone will.
There's 3 types of killing: either by mistake, which is not your fault at all, or by mistake, or cozy death, or deliberate. So if it's not your fault, there's nothing. Like for example, you're driving normally and this person jumped on your car. He killed himself, I didn't kill him. Which is the one which is mistake. For example, is mistake. You're driving faster than the speed limit, and there was a person, they couldn't really put the brakes on properly. You killed him. Okay, that's mistake. It depends upon manslaughter or not, because the judges will not be manslaughter. It depends. There's lots of tricky things there. They don't go for manslaughter unless there's a little hairline between the two. We call it manslaughter. Okay, that is you could as well. So mistake, or it's part of your mistake. So for example, you used something to hit somebody with normally would not kill, but you ended up hitting him somewhere and you killed him. That's not manslaughter, is it? It's a mistake. So you use your mobile and you hit him on this and his head and he died. The mobile is not a lethal weapon, but I'm mistaken because I hit him. It resulted in the death. I have to fast. Okay?
That's the one that said on the sister side. The form 3.
What's that?
Back of the wife, the back of the mother.
Like in wife to the back of the mother. I didn't. I said the 25 is only for the brothers, not for the sisters. I'm sorry. I did not say it. See, I knew the sisters better than you are, guys. Wallahi, correct. I didn't hear you properly. That's the one. Al-Dhihar. Yes. Al-Dhihar saying that she grew it out or something. Oh, MashaAllah. MashaAllah. طيب. الظهار يا اخواني. الظهار is you saying to your wife, you are like the back of my mother. Okay? Or a person also, he made ilah. Like ala. And you have this, you want to detach yourself from my wife or something. This saying that you are like the back of my mother, that means I can't ride you, I can't make intercourse with you like my mother, that's haram. Zura min al-qawl, says he had Zura min al-qawl, falsehood. What's the expiation for that? This is hadith Salama ibn Sakhr al-Biyadi. Salama ibn Sakhr al-Biyadi, radiyallahu anhu. He, in the month of Ramadan, what happened is that when he's intercoursing with his wife, he does not let go until after Fajr. Because of that, he's not going to fast Ramadan. So he said, you are like the back of my mother for the month of Ramadan. Not forever, for the month of what? Of Ramadan. That means he wants, why? To secure himself that he can't touch her during the month of Ramadan. So he's now made it haram for him not just to approach her during the day, also during the what? The night. He made it difficult for himself. He solved his problem because he said he would not let go of his wife with intercourse until after Fajr. And that's, he wanted to stop the whole thing. He made this. He said one night, something exposed from his wife aroused him and he made the intercourse. This is when he went to the Prophet ﷺ. Before he went to the Prophet of Allah, he went to his tribe, Banu Zurayq. He told them, can you go with me, the Prophet ﷺ? He said, no way. Maybe a verse will come regarding our tribe and will be defamed for us for the whole rest of our life. I mean, we got to go with you, and Allah will send a verse just for Banu Zurayq, for you. You go with your sin. We're not going to come with you. You're not going to help. So they did not help him. So he went to the Prophet ﷺ. And he told the Prophet of Allah, he said, did you do it? He said, yes, Messenger of Allah. I'm surrendering myself. Did you do it? Okay. So he said, free a slave. He's a poor man, by the way. He said, Messenger of Allah, I woke up this morning, I own nobody except for myself. And he hit his neck like this. I own myself. I'm the slave of myself. I don't have any slave. So I own myself like this. Okay, fast 2 months. Messenger of Allah, I couldn't hold myself for a month. You want me to hold myself for 2 months? Do you understand me? I can't hold myself for my wife for 1 month. I've been punished now for 2 months. Prophet is laughing. He said, okay, feed 60 people. So he said, verily, Messenger of Allah, there is no one who is poorer than me. I am poor. I am the poorest person. So the Prophet ﷺ said, wait. Some sadaqat came to him. This sadaqat came from the same tribe, Banu Zurayq. So the Prophet ﷺ said, give it to the poor people. Give it, he said, give it to yourself and to your family and other people. So he's having now the sadaqat of his tribe. So he's having his family and his wife, and he's giving to other people. And then he went to his tribe. He said, you know something? I went to you, I only found difficulty. I went to the Prophet of Allah, I found ease. So this person as well, again, he had done it, and yet he had what? Eaten after that. Radiallahu anhu warḍah. So the Prophet ﷺ, he had given him that sadaqah of Banu Zurayq, and he had to give it to himself and his family and the other poor people. But mashallah, the sisters are very clever. But any other questions? Last question.
One question.
Do you have any questions for the sisters here?
Yeah, there's
They
one.
deserve more. Hang on.
Okay, should the parent advise their child upon whom fasting is compulsory not to fast because of the exams?
Should the parents,
So if they have the child that's fasting is compulsory for, should the parent?
how
say
old is the
don't
child?
fast?
How old is the child?
I assume the GCSEs at least.
So child, it means like an adult for Islam. Islamically adult.
Yeah.
So an adult. He's an adult. So he's past his 15 years old. Adult. Or he had a wet dream as an adult. The parents should not advise the children because of the exam to break their fast. It's not allowed to do that. We will tell them to fast, but we'll give them a very strong pre-dawn meal. Give them chicken and kebab and everything. Stuff them properly. Inshallah, they will not be hungry for the rest of the day. When it comes to the day of the exam, if they felt they're going to feel unconscious, drowsy, and going to be falling because of this, then they break the fast, but not pre-planning to break the fast. So if they're fast, if they're going to be falling on their face because of the exams and all of this, during the day, give them the nourishment, inshallah. Your question?
You mentioned if somebody's got a hole in their house and you enter, it doesn't break.
Doesn't break it. So if you have got bakhur, you have to somebody's house, you've got bakhur, incense and burning, it doesn't break this fast. Even the owner of the house does not break the house.
So you're allowed to burn it in your own
No
house?
problem, you could burn it down. The whole thing is, what I mean here is to really inhale that. So you could put it next to you. Have you seen these people do it? That will break your fast. But in the room, you're burning it, no problem, inshallah. وَسُبْحَانَكَ اللَّهُمَّ بِحَمْدِكَ أَشْهَدُ أَن لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ أَسْتَغْفِرُكَ وَأَتُوبُ إِلَيْكَ. By the way, classes in Ramadan, we don't know yet. They haven't decided, the committee in this masjid. So we'll see, inshallah. If there is, it will be definitely. If there is iftar, it will be just about an hour before iftar. If there is no iftar, it will be after Asr. But we'll see, inshallah.